forge a lot of partnerships, you gave us a lot of great advice, and the policies that you set were really positive for the whole community. So I see you as kind of a representative of this world of partnerships, good policy, and perseverance. You want to talk a little bit about how you see that evolving in Massachusetts in general, or just kind of the importance of that?
Well, John, thank you, and kudos to you and your team for taking those advantages and making the very most of them. That's a part of it, big part of it, critical part of it. So, I want to first build on what Steve says in the book and touched on in his last remarks. If you think about, economic history is sort of littered with the carcasses of great companies who tried to fuel their future on the fumes of the past. That same risk is true of states too. Right? So it's great that we have at this moment this concentration of VC, but keeping this innovation ecosystem alive and thriving has to be purposeful and not left to chance. It didn't become what it is today because it just happened. Remember, we invested with many of you here time and money and ideas in this strategy of education, innovation, and infrastructure, starting in the midst of the worst recession in living memory. Why? Why? Because one day there would be a GE. And in the meanwhile, we had to build the MassChallenges and the life sciences ecosystem and the revival of the technology spaces, apps, and gaming, and of course what was going on with medical devices, and connecting all of that with the IP that was coming out of the universities, some 300 of which colleges and universities and research institutions are within 45 minutes of where we are right now. Right? That's an edge. That's an edge. And instead of saying the academy is over there, and the business community is over here, and the new businesses are across the river, and the old ones are downtown and only talk to each other, we were about encouraging everybody to form those kinds of partnerships and to make the kinds of judgments today that weren't just about the next quarter, but were about the next generation. So when we think about this third wave, I think it's critical that we don't kind of blow past the policy part of it. It's not because I think government can or should presume to substitute for the private sector. That's not the point. And it's not that I believe that government should or is likely to simply say, y'all go ahead, do what you want. Because the people still need and want the right kind of guardrails. But it does mean that government has to partner with private industry, particularly with innovators, to create the kind of environment where people can try things. And the last thing I would say is this. I believe in order to encourage innovation, we have to raise our tolerance for failure. Yes. We have to raise our failure. It's funny to get a round of applause for failure, but we have to learn that failure is a thing to learn from. And that has to be true of government too. So we all say we want government to be more innovative and so forth, and what tends to happen is that the new thing comes in on top of the old thing, rather than to replace the old thing. Because as soon as the new thing has a bump, then you crucify it, right? We had a 70% expansion in the clean tech industry here over the last 6 or 7 years. Solar leading the way. And the thing that gets cited over and over again is evergreen solar. And you all nod your head because you recognize it. We have to raise our tolerance for failure to create the environment where people take the kinds of chances that make change and inclusion possible.
Outstanding. So, and agreed, believe me, that is a round of applause.